Okay, so this is a thought that I was that I had at the back of my mind regarding the topic of like a narcissist, because I was talking about Riley CS in my earlier Ramble video. But so I was in a friendship with a narcissistic person from junior high, and I went all the way through high school, and things seemed like all right, except like how he would like pull off pranks disrespectfully and make uh, you know there would always be jokes at my expense, but I would just brush it off. And but later on though, as it went to things like university, like college, and during um I don't know, one of the things that I noticed during my early 20s, when I was still with him, was just pervasive a feeling of you know of this sort of lack, as if I needed something to feel complete, that I never seemed to have before. Like when I was growing up as a kid, and I was fine with just spending hours on end playing Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, or Majora's Mask. And I thought, okay, maybe that's just a part of growing older. You start feeling this sort of a lack, and everything. But looking back now, I'm 33. That's not really a natural a feeling to have at all. And while I was during I was going door to door for my current temporary job, and I was talking with someone, and I just made the discovery that I was psychically sensitive. Like people would say that it's a highly sensitive person or something, and I guess that would explain a lot of what's happened throughout my life, especially with how people would react to me in extreme ways. And even though I was sort of weird kid back then, but anyway, so that's strange feeling of lack, feeling lacking, that you're not enough, that if only you were richer, if only you had the warmth of someone like a woman who you can just open yourself up to your feelings. And that was sort of main unconscious underlying drive of what I was going through during my early 20s. I would just maybe seek out a woman online who seemed nice and talented, and because I never, while I was still with close with a friend, it felt every time when I was in his presence, when he would be doing something on my computer in my own room, and I just felt oddly you know like empty, oddly unsatisfied and drained in a way that I just could not explain. And at the time I was just looking into things personality type theories and other things to try to explain what it was that I was going through. But that's essentially just that's one of the facets of narcissistic abuse. It's something that it's a spiritual thing rather than a mental a thing, even though a lot of people would try to describe it in sort of mental terms, how these narcissistic predators have brain differences, that they experience high loads of sadism and other things, and they don't feel fear. But that's those are just a symptoms. The real thing is a spiritual, it's energy. It's it goes before your mind is wondering what the fuck is gonna happen, and why am I thinking this way, or why am I feeling this way, while energetically or spiritually feeling though it's, you just feel drained. And you know like I said in the Riley CS like a video, and how a lot of people experience with like this sort of dark triad predatory abuse would say, is like you shouldn't like don't try to like go take revenge for these people for what they've taken from you, like years of your life, like leaving you with like all these psychological scars, bad habits, things like that. You think you're gonna be doing the whole world a favor by like retaliating against them, but you're just it's just not it's just like a not good, like you don't like a seek revenge like that at all. And what you want to do is to try to get out of their orbit and have them like stay away from you as like much as possible. One of the things that I've noticed like along like the narcissistic people who've like come to my life is like after a while of like going no contact, they would like just suddenly bam like a random text message or a random like email like saying, oh, I have an emergency, I need your help, blah 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 blah. And then yeah, no, before you know it, you're just like a back into like hanging out with them, and they're like sucking you like a dry, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. But they're like just sucking you dry energetically, because like they have no warmth or spiritual core of their own. Like if and also like another thing that I've also struggled with is like self-hatred and like a sense of shame, as if maybe there's something like like deeply like wrong with me. Maybe I might be like a closet sexual like a deviant or like a something, because I was just like, even after a while it was still like a sort of contaminated with like narcissistic like energies. It's no good, but yeah, I just always want to tell you, like, if you're, if you're capable of like a feeling like a afraid, or if you can cry, or if you genuinely have your soul, you are like a good person, right? Underneath like everything, like you can, like, don't ever like doubt that like a spiritual like truth about yourself, right? Like deep down you're capable of the ultimate like a good. You just have to like stay like spiritually like grounded, and keep your own like spirits up, your own head up. And it's like um there's also something else I want to say is, oh yeah, so when it comes to like discerning like real friendships versus like fake friendships, uh okay, this is something that I was like actually thinking to myself while I was like you know I like haven't like played like a Outlawn no, I've been on like Call of Duty Warzone the entire day with my good friend Rai, who's from you know from the U.S. I'm in Canada. Like we were like playing with each other, and like even when it came to like say like moments of frustration or things, it never came to the part where we would like start like blaming each other, or like start picking at each other's like flaws. Like it would like when say it comes to like a toxic game like League of Legends, or tons of like a narcissistic or like really toxic people on the game, where like every mistake you make on that game, every like a moment of like foolishness, like you just like get people like jumping on your case saying, oh, report this guy, report that guy, or you're trash, or they come up with numerous other insults, and it's just awful. But yeah, like I was like playing with him, and after it was like, okay, I'm a little tired and a little bored, like I'm gonna take a break. But it never like it got to the point where it just felt like, oh my god, I just need a break from that person. Or I always, because no, I always like felt like safe, and like I can just be like my usual like self with him without any sort of judgment, which is what the genuine like hallmarks of a good friendship. Because the narcissistic, you feel like they have a natural like tendency to like drain you, like just by like being around them. Like no matter what it is you do, or how how you like might want to try to change your behavior to act your very best, it's always like a transactional. Like they never like care about you for who you really are. Even though they might like say superficial stuff like, oh you're like really good with words, or oh yeah, you're have a nice sexy voice, or you know they might like superficially compliment you, but they would and you could like do favors for them, like, but that's a trap, right? Another thing the narcissists like do is they trap you, and with like all the favors they do uh, for you, and just because they did something nice for you, like it means that you like have to owe them like in return, or something like that, and that's that's one of the other like things, like when things start going like horribly wrong, is just because you like do like such and such like a favors for like a somebody, like it doesn't like excuse like the fact that you're gonna do no, like a narcissistic would like call you, like they would like ask you to do like such and such a lot of like favors for him, do this, do that. My mom like noticed it. She called me like my friends like a little dog, pretty much. And even though like I wasn't really like consciously aware of what was going on, I thought I was just like being nice and like helpful, but just because you're that doesn't mean like and they're gonna still put you down anyways. Because my friend managed to like find like a way to like, twist things around, like say, oh you're helpful, but you're not considerate, okay? And then he would just use that as a reason to like start raging at me, start like picking on things like, oh, no wonder like your like parents don't trust you enough to drive your car. No wonder you don't have a like a driver's license, like because he lost like his key when we went swimming, and he had to drive back, and he strung me along, and he like expected me to like constantly like do this, and it was just like exhausting, all right? Like your body just like naturally, your mind just naturally starts to like rebel like after a while of like of all of this, and they start looking at it and say, and they pick on you, saying act like you're slacking up, and it becomes like a chore. It becomes like being their friend becomes a job, which it should never have to feel like. um so I don't know like how to like end this like a ramble. It's only my second time like making like such a video where I just like feel comfortable like talking about something that was off the top of my head. But if you're like out there and you're like listening, if you're able to like listen to all this, and like what I'm talking about, you've been through this too, then just want you to know that like there are people out there who will like love you, like if you don't have like nice people like genuinely kind people in your life, and you are like valuable just the way you are. You don't need to like do anything to prove yourself to anyone. You are like you're you. You have like your soul is your ultimate like a gift, and I want you to like just go out there like living every day as if, yeah, no matter like how much like trouble or whatever problems you might be like facing, or if you feel like a sort of woefully inadequate or anxious, like you're like being you, like your own soul like is like is like the greatest like gift, like like that anyone can like give you. It's not, you don't, it's not a million, you don't go like earn like $1 million in the lottery, or get that like a dream job, or like find a perfect like a girlfriend or boyfriend. No, you're you know the real like a source of like wealth is like you, like your own like a soul, and your own like a bodily like health for that matter. So anyways, enjoy your night.